communication comes from almost 10 years of addiction. I know what it's like to feel hopeless. I know what it's like to feel, like you don't matter. I had this belief system that was so negative that I didn't like living, and I know what that feels like. And so I could speak to someone's soul because I've been where you've been. And so that's really where I cut my teeth on how to help someone, because I went through it myself. I do have a degree in business management, but that's nothing to do with psychology or anything like that. But like I said, I've been doing this now for 32 years and been very successful. I do it full time. And, I was doing life coaching before it was cool to be a life coach.
It's gone in and out of favor and back in
Right.
in this 32 years.
It really has.
And meanwhile, you stay in the same place and just keep doing what you're doing.
But that's kind of how it, that's kind of how I got where I am today. Is just I started doing this program in the schools, and the districts, the parents, the teachers, the kids absolutely fell in love with it. And I still pinch myself today going, I can't believe how that all came about. That in itself was a miracle in my mind.
So we're talking in this series about depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested in how that's evolved to be part of what you work with.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to stay for just another minute with addiction. I don't know that there's a family left in this country that hasn't been touched in a real and profound way by addiction. So before we just skip past that topic, what are some things that families can do that are dealing with someone that is struggling with addiction, and what are some things you advise people?
I get this question a lot, and I wish there was a magic answer to that. And you're right, every family's been touched, and my heart goes out to those who have lost a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife or a cousin or a nephew. My heart goes out to those people, because this is life or death stuff, and it's serious. And, one of the things that I get this question a lot, and I answer it typically this way, is it's about communicating. A lot of times we're afraid to approach the person who's actually struggling. Like we're afraid to offend them. And usually the person struggling is very defensive. And so it's almost like, don't even bring this up, don't go there, But I think that's the key. It's communicating with our loved one who's struggling, even if we have to take some hits along the way as we go and approach them. And at the end of the day, depending on the age of the person who's struggling, if they're over 18, they're an adult, we can't force them into getting help or treatment. But I can still talk to them with my heart and say, hey, I'm here to help you. What can I do to help you get through this? I know you're struggling. And they may tell me to, F off and say, get out of my face. But you know what? If I love this person, I'm not going to stop trying to communicate that I'm here to get you some help. And, and there's a lot of resources out there that I would tap into as well. If it's a younger child, again, it really does come down to connecting with my child. If I have a strong relationship with my child, I can talk about any subject without it being uncomfortable, because I've paid a price to do that. Now, if you haven't done that, if someone's listening to this and they're like, I don't have a connection with my kids, then let's start doing that. And it starts as simple as, hey, let's go, I'm going to take you to lunch, or I'm going to take you on a date this week. Just me and you. If you have 4 kids, take each one of those kids on an individual date. You start creating connection. I think it was Johann Hari that says connection's the opposite of addiction. It's so true. When we feel truly connected, you know what? That's when we have that motivation and that hope that I can move past this. And so communicating and connecting is the key, in my opinion.
Yeah, that I literally was on the phone with Johann
Really?
Hari 45 minutes ago.
No way.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is, and his contribution to,
Yeah.
so he wrote a book on depression called Lost Connections. And
Yeah.
the wisdom in that book that people who are depressed oftentimes have very good reason for being depressed, and that they don't have a single friend
For sure.
that they can lean on. So with depression and anxiety, how has the public calling out to you for help, how has it evolved into that becoming a part of your work?
Yeah, it's a great question. And really every single client I deal with, even if they don't have a substance abuse issue, they all struggle with anxiety and depression on some level. And obviously some worse than others. Going through what we've gone through as a planet over this last couple years, the anxiety and depression's off the charts, which is unfortunate, and a lot of people are suffering. And so I have a lot of people obviously reaching out to me in those areas. One of the good things is that I've been through it myself. I used to have anxiety so bad I couldn't get out of bed. I had depression so bad that I thought brushing my teeth was impossible. So I know what it feels like to have that consume you, But I do think I've been fortunate to learn from some of the best people and through my own experience, and then meeting with thousands and thousands of clients over the last 30 years, is I'm really good at helping create a different kind of awareness around anxiety and depression that most people don't talk about. And every time I share this with a client, they go, wow, where's this been? This stuff's amazing. It's really helped me, work through this. And we can talk about that if you'd like, but
That's exactly where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I typically like to ask my client, let's define anxiety. What is it? And usually they can't really come up with a definition, but they'll describe it with a feeling. I feel like my heart's racing. I feel like I'm stepping off the edge and there's no step, or fear, worry, and those kind of things. They're describing it with a feeling, which again, I understand that. But I like to go, I want to give you the best definition I've heard in my 30 years in doing this. And the best definition I've heard is this: anxiety is a misuse of your imagination. And here's why this is true. Our brain and central nervous system does not know the difference between a real event or if we imagine it. They call it synthetic experiencing. And so if like you've ever watched a scary movie, Jeff, and something jumps off the screen and you kind of do this to protect yourself?
Right. As if it was in three dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're in a movie. Nothing's going to get you. But for that moment, your brain believed it was real. So your imagination was telling yourself, this is real, you better protect yourself. So if I'm imagining something bad's going to happen, I feel anxious in the moment. And so teaching my clients how to control their imagination, you start, the anxiety level that's at a 10 starts to go down to a 5, and then maybe to a 4 and 3 and 2, right? And it's powerful just understanding what the definition of it is, right? And so that's been very helpful to create that awareness around just that. And then I go through and I kind of walk my client through on how to do that and how to control that. Depression. Depression is sadness, it's hopelessness. And again, my heart goes out to anyone that's going through this because I know what that feels like. But one of the best definitions of depression I've ever heard was trying to be someone I'm not. See, when we were little kids, we knew who we were. We couldn't articulate it because we're kids, but we loved ourselves, we loved everybody, we had faith as big as the universe when we were these little kids. And as we get older, and we all go through this, we forget who we are. And what do? We try to find ourselves in this group, with this organization, with this religion, and we're trying to find ourselves in all these places. And if it's not fitting with us, we feel empty. And then we feel sad and we feel hopeless, right? It's kind of like what you said, if a kid has 1 or 2 friends or no friends, they don't know, where do I put myself? Who am I really? But see, when we know who we are, that in itself gives us power and it gives us hope. And so just understanding those definitions is a game changer. I've seen it, thousands and thousands of times, and it really helped me when I was in my dark place. And so that's kind of where I start with my clients, is helping them identify what the best definitions around those are.